So President Trump and Joe Biden have been using Facebook ads as a campaign tool during this lockdown, right? They can't get out and shake hands the way they used to. But there are some clear differences in where they're putting their Facebook ad money. According to Axios, the president's team pumped more cash into topics like fake news and immigration during the pandemic, so this is right now, while Joe Biden's team seemed to focus on healthcare and, of course, COVID-19. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. We want to bring in Sarah Fisher from Axios. You are Axios' media reporter, Sarah. Really interesting sort of outline of where the two campaigns are funneling and focusing their money. And for sure, when it comes to President Trump, the lion's share goes to addressing fake news. And I think just $1,000 went to like climate. But what does this say about the messaging that both of the candidates are trying to get out?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Emery, and good to see both you and Vlad. I think what it means is that they know what issues resonate with their base and what issues resonate with people who would potentially fundraise, give money, or people who would maybe even volunteer on a campaign. That's why you buy Facebook ads. And those messages are the same, basically, that they have been since the start of this campaign. Immigration, targeting nationalistic messages, as well as fake news, going after the mainstream media. And to your point, Joe Biden has a totally different strategy. He sees this as an opportunity to double down on the president's record during coronavirus. He's spending about $6 million targeting ads just addressing Donald Trump and his record there. And then he's also talking a lot more about healthcare and what to do in the future around crises like this.
I just want to jump in quickly and clarify, because I said Donald Trump's, the lion's share of his percentage goes to fake news, but it's actually sort of a huge chunk split 50-50 between fake news and immigration. That's the other big topic.
Yep. And there's also a lot of spend, by the way, that I didn't include on the chart, which is like, oh, take this survey so we can find out more data on you, or sign this birthday card for Melania. There's a lot of ad spend that goes to that stuff. What I did with this analysis is I just took a look at what they were spending in terms of policy. What kind of policy are they talking about? And I think it's a big deal that the president is investing so much money to talk about fake news, because for him, deflecting the blame of the coronavirus is a part of his campaign strategy. And for Vice President Joe Biden, making sure that the president is accountable on his record in coronavirus is also a huge part of that strategy.
I mean, we threw up a chart. Maybe we can throw it back up on the screen again that actually shows the breakdown so people can just see for themselves what we're talking about here and the kinds of money that we're talking about and the kinds of things that these candidates are spending their money on. In other words, candidate for the presidency, Joe Biden, and of course the president, Donald Trump. These numbers are astounding. I mean, you see the lopsided figures there directed at fake news, and I just don't understand in the midst of a pandemic why that is where all this money is going, other than reasons that have to do with politics. And for Vice President Biden, you could see that when people are interested in understanding what is happening around healthcare, they're interested in gun violence. That's where money appears to be going for the vice president. So my question, Sarah, is going to be, what kind of numbers are we talking about here? That chart basically shows it.
Yeah, it does. And let me make a clarification. So there's two kinds of ads that you're going to buy if you want to win an election. The first kinds of ads are called direct response. You usually buy these ads online, you buy them on Facebook, and the purpose of those ads is to rile so much emotion that you can get someone to donate, or you can get someone to add their email to a list, or you can get someone to volunteer. That's what the spend is that you're looking at right now, and that's why Donald Trump is going after those issues. The other type of advertising that's common in campaigning is called persuasion advertising. That's where typically at the end of the race in the general election, that's where you're going to try to go and say, hey, vote for me. I don't need your money anymore. I don't need you to volunteer. Just go out and cast a ballot. Those types of ads are typically bought on TV at the end of the race. And so the reason I'm focusing on Facebook right now is because that's where most of the money is going right now.
So, talking about most of the money, the two, Biden and Donald Trump, are spending significantly different amounts of money. You've got here on Axios's website 419,000 from Donald Trump on Facebook ads and 6 million from Biden. I suppose it's sort of reasonable. You know, the president is on TV every single day, so it's much more of a challenge for Joe Biden to get in front of potential voters. But I'm wondering, you know, who's more successful at this? Is spending more money really making a difference for Joe Biden?
Yeah, that's just the kind of money that they're spending on talking about each other. When it comes to overall money, Donald Trump has spent a lot more, although Joe Biden has increased his investments during this campaign. One thing we should remind everyone watching CBSN right now is that it's not just the campaigns, it's also all of the party's infrastructure around them. So, for example, it's not just what Donald Trump spends, it's all the super PACs that support Republican messaging that are also elevating his campaign. And you see the same thing happening on the left. There are a lot of super PACs spending tons of money, like Priorities USA, so that even if Joe Biden's campaign isn't spending as much, there are supplementary, progressive Democratic messages that are still getting through to voters. I'll say this: you asked, does the money matter right now? One of the weird things that we've learned during this election is you really can't buy yourself in. Look at Michael Bloomberg, who spent $500 million on election advertising, and he very much struggled with his campaign, despite the fact that he brought in so much money from advertising and spent so much. Joe Biden, on the other hand, was able to secure the nomination with far less investment. And so I think what you're seeing here is that, look, money matters, advertising matters, and the way you spend your advertising matters. But at the end of the day, your record and what voters think of you, your experience, that also matters too.
All right, Sarah Fisher, as always, we thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.